What's up, guys? Roland Wolf here. Gonna do a quick recap for you on my RETC trade. And this was a pump and dump from a couple weeks ago. Now, it actually was trading, there's not much history here, but that's because it was trading under a different ticker symbol up until this point, and then they changed to RETC. But it had been pumped for a while under that other ticker symbol prior to this. And it was a good pump. That they got it from the pennies up to the mid twos. Now there was a crack here earlier in the chart, but it wasn't huge, 20 cents or so, and it regained its footing in this 150 area actually, and kept on grinding up. So I had been watching this and waiting for a nice big crack to possibly dip by. And here we go. And this is the day, the 26th. You got a nice big crack, 260 to $160 share. And that's what you're looking for. If you're trying to get the dip by, you want a nice big panic. And generally you want to play only that first one. I mean, you'll see what happens to this chart afterwards, but it just gets demolished from the twos to the pennies, and it hasn't been able to bounce, and it's dead. I mean, it's dead. I mean, this was kind of harsh. Normally you will see at least a little bit of bouncing action, but this one just got crushed. Either way, after this day, I wasn't even looking at it. I didn't even look at it. So let's get into this and try to answer a couple questions that I've gotten. So here's the first crack day, and one of the main questions I've been asked is why I didn't buy this dip. And truth is, it's because I missed it. I got to the play a little bit late. I was watching some other stuff, and by the time I got to the chart, I think it was around 190 or even a little bit higher. And with an OTC like this, with a pump and dump like this, I'm not gonna chase. I'm not gonna chase. You can't chase a dip buy. As you can see, there are fake outs that happen. Now, if you got in at the bottom here, and you were dip buying down here, then that's a sweet 30% or so. What is that? Almost 50 cents here in 4 minutes, but you just have to be quick on that. So that, I mean, it was technically a decent dip buy there, but I missed it, so I wasn't chasing this. Now, when it topped here in about 215 and started to come back down, then I'm watching again, and I'm hoping, personally, I was hoping maybe it breaks this low, and the level I had in mind was maybe kind of the 150 area. Just as a mental level maybe, and also it's kind of where it gained its footing back here in this crack. You can kind of see that. So that's the level I was interested in. So that's one of the reasons that I was able to get in here. People have been asking how do I know when to buy on a dip buy? And that's a difficult question because it's not one thing. It's not just the chart. It's not just the level 2. It's kind of a mixture, and it's kind of a feel that you get. In this case, I was watching level 2, definitely watching the chart, and also watching for volume. Now, this stock was actually pretty illiquid. So, in retrospect, the 15,000 shares I bought at 163 average it was maybe a little much, and I hadn't really taken into consideration that there wasn't that much volume. I know Tim Sykes was shorting this and did really well on this, so I'd imagine that this was probably a lot of both of us here. I could be wrong, who knows. But anyways, so this is my entry, 163, 15,000 shares, and from this point it was just being patient, and in my head I was already looking at this 215 level, and planning on bailing most likely if I saw some topping there and if it was kind of struggling, which it was. About 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, we got to that level and I started selling into this candle, I think. Yeah, I started selling some shares here, but the majority of my shares came out right here, and I ended up with a 213 average and a $7,500 gain in just about 10 minutes. And so that was a really great trade. A little bit risky. I mean, dip buying can be risky in general, and dip buying a pump and dump can be very risky. But it seems to be a pretty reliable play because, you know, when there are promoters involved, generally they don't want it to crash all the way back down in one day due to the risk of halting and some other things. And so they'll generally try to prop it up a little bit at least. Now, in this case, there was hardly any propping. I mean, you got a little bit the next day, but finish red and then tanks. I mean, that's rough. And that's why you got to be careful, and you can't hold and hope on these. You can't dip buy and let it go, and because you've seen it rebound on other ones in the past, because stuff like this can happen where, I mean, it'll literally wipe you out. And this is one of the, I mean, that's one of the more harsh dumps that I've seen, I think. But it's been nice because there's been quite a few pumps going on recently, and simultaneously we have LBUI that still yet to come down, and several others that have made some decent dip buys, and a lot of dip buys that haven't worked. So in this case it worked, and again, I mean, the main points is that if you're not comfortable and you're not getting into where you feel is low on, you don't chase these dips, is what I'm trying to say. Do not chase these dips back up. And when it comes to indicators, I'm looking at the volume, I'm looking at the level 2, looking for some buyers to come in, and of course looking at the chart. And I mean, that's a nice reversal candle here. Same here. I mean, even if you bought at 2, you could still squeeze 15 cents out of it. I wouldn't personally do that. But you don't want to chase these, and you don't want to hold. You know, it may look like it was coming up the next day, and then you see what happens. I mean, it just goes night-night. Anyways, sorry it took me a while to get this one out. I've just been super busy. Even right now, I've hardly slept, I feel like. But I do appreciate the comments. Let me know what else I can get into for you guys, if there are any specific trades or if there's something I didn't touch on in this one. I'll keep them coming and try to be a little bit more consistent. And I appreciate all the support, and we'll keep the good times rolling. All right, have a good one, guys.